Welcome to the September 24th, 2019 episode of Reactive Consciousness, our in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And a vacancy.
Yeah, if you think hard enough, then maybe you can hear the ghostly voice of guests past.
Four heroes of light and shit!
Lie.
But we do have a lot of things going on here, especially in the retro space. So we still have a good show anyway. Our frequent collaborators have some life stuff going on. So we can hold down the fort. I think, Lotus. What do you think?
I don't know, man. It's a lot. It's a lot of responsibility.
Well, let's give it a shot.
I hope you talk about things that I know what they are.
We only talk about non-survival horror video games here.
Oh, no.
Oh, wait, no, that's fine for your channel now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's acceptable now, yes. I confirmed it's okay if I do them.
Jesus.
I've been doing folklore for 3 weeks. I think we've understood it.
What a complaint. That's literally your favorite type of genre, and everybody knows it.
The first game I ever played on my channel was Typing of the Dead.
Yeah,
well, actually, that was my first Let's Play. The first video game thing I put up on my channel was like Deus Ex Human Revolution's DLC.
Like, not to mention, you're gonna run out of classic like survival horror games, like eventually.
I don't know.
It's just gonna
slow.
happen.
By the time I get to Resident Evil 2, it'll be considered a classic. It just never ends.
Yeah.
Anything's classic.
Which
if you want it hard
which
enough.
Resident Evil 2 is that?
The new one. I did the old one a while back.
I know.
It's safe. We're safe. I did Resident Evil 2, guys.
But
Don't worry about it.
you just did Alien Isolation. That like literally is a first-person shooter like survival horror game.
Well, the most recent game I did before Folklore was Remake.
Yeah, come on.
So it's like that's the quintessential Resident Evil, but better.
Yeah, no, it's literally the best Resident Evil game, if you ask me.
That's a tough one. It's between that or OG2, because I haven't played New 2 yet, so no opinion except for the demo. It looks promising, though.
I mean, 4, jeez.
4 is the most fun, by a lot.
Yeah. 4 is very culturally relevant. Not that, and so is Resident Evil 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So it's like, but I guess they both really heralded, like Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 4 kind of changed, like they changed the way that type of game was played.
Yeah, like Resident Evil 1 took Alone in the Dark and made it better. Resident Evil 4 just pioneered a genre.
Well, there was some stuff that it borrowed, but like there wasn't much.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Fair
and
enough.
It was the first one to popularize it and do it well.
Yeah. It took QTEs from Shenmue.
It took it.
I can't believe Resident Evil 4 ripped off of Shenmue. I'm looking for what was it? I'm looking for the man who kidnapped the president's daughter. Would you like to play a game of Lucky Hit?
Jeez.
Do you know anyone who could speak the Spanish language?
Aquí está. But anyway, let's move on to what happened this week. There's quite a bit of like really cool stuff coming out or has come out in the last week. I just want to talk about it for a little bit. So I picked up Link's Awakening. I was lucky enough to get the limited edition of that, so I got it with the art book.
Yeah, I pre-ordered that. My shipping has been delayed, so I should get it, but it'll be in like a week.
Oh, you got the LE as well?
Yeah, I eventually was like, yeah, it's a really good-looking edition.
Yeah, no, and for Zelda games, like, they hardly ever do, like, a really nice LE like that, so...
yeah, the only thing I've ever seen is, like... For Zelda limited editions, do they ever do them except for like gold cartridge Ocarina of Time?
Yeah, there are occasional ones like Skyward Sword had the
you're right with the
Wii Motion Plus. Yeah. I mean, it's not often, and they have like for one of them they did that scarf.
That was
Link Between Worlds.
That was Hyrule Warriors for the Wii U.
Oh, Hyrule Warriors. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that one. The funny thing about that was, like, all over the world, that was just the limited edition of the game, but in America there were like that was a Nintendo World Store exclusive, so it's insanely rare in America.
Sucked. Yeah, I mean thankfully like a lot of fans have been like remaking that scarf, and probably like the fan made ones are better quality like than a promo item, you know what I mean? Like one that you would actually want to wear if you were into that kind of thing. But I love Link's Awakening. It is one of my favorite games growing up. I played it in the car all the time, you know what I mean? Like on road trips.
Yeah, it was because remember everybody, we're not talking about the Nintendo Switch game right now. We're talking about the original Game Boy game that later got a Game Boy Color supported release with an additional dungeon.
Yeah, and not a very substantial one to begin with.
Oh, really?
But yeah, it wasn't worth the upgrade if you already owned the game. But
okay.
But and at any rate, plus the rewards for beating that dungeon are like a double attack power or double defense, and they really make the game very, very easy.
Okay. Yeah, you're just kind of like, all right, going through the level now.
Yeah. So they're not it's okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway. Yeah, exactly. But I really love this game growing up. It's probably the best Game Boy game they ever made. I'm probably gonna just go out and say that.
Are you talking OG Game Boy or all Game Boys?
Yeah, no. OG Game Boy. I don't know about if you include all the color stuff. I mean, there are you could count Pokemon. And the second wave of Pokemon games.
Conker's Pocket Tales.
Fuck off with that.
The game was not fun.
Yeah. Fuck off with that. Donkey Kong 93 is really, really fucking good.
Yeah, actually, weren't the various Donkey Kong Country games like pretty good ports, or was that like more of like a GBA thing?
So Donkey Kong
or
Land
GBC,
Donkey Kong Land were the Game Boy games, and they kind of were half unique. They were kind of like pared down ports, but they had unique stuff about them.
Well, the main thing I know is the third one. It's interesting because it's basically Donkey Kong Country 3, but what's interesting is that Donkey Kong Country 3 on the Super Nintendo is the only one of the trilogy that had a soundtrack by a different composer, and it is a brilliant soundtrack.
Those games are really hard. I remember them being a lot harder than the original games.
Yeah, but the thing is though, on the Game Boy, like Donkey Kong, like whatever the Donkey Kong Country 3 port was called, was that Donkey Kong Land 3? Yeah. That was done by David Wise, the composer of the other games. So there's just a completely different soundtrack, and they're both good. It's just like, look at that. There was a second soundtrack the whole time. It's like, it makes me think of Dragon Ball Z. You know how before Funimation took over, there was the Ocean dub?
Oh, sure. Ocean dub was great. Or Pioneer dub, yeah.
But Ocean kept going. Like, there's an entire other English dub.
Wow. I love it. Yeah.
Like with Slimy Vegeta, voiced by Brian Drummond, like Kakarot. Like, he kept going through the end of the Dragon Ball Z series.
Oh, neat.
Like, you could look up his like dramatic speech before Boo. It's like, I had no idea they kept going for years. It's crazy.
Well, at any rate, Donkey Kong 93 is a different game. So Donkey Kong 93 is basically a continuation of like the Donkey Kong arcade game. And it's the basis for what becomes like the Mario versus Donkey Kong series, if you know those games. So it's a lot of platforming, and you're Mario in it, and there's like a lot of puzzle elements and stuff like that. It's a very, very, very good game. I definitely recommend it. And his moveset in that is like the inspiration for Mario 64 Mario's like backflips and stuff like that. He does in those games. But
does he say ya wah wahoo?
No, but the timing of the sounds kind of like inspire that.
That's amusing.
So you're kind of joking, but like it really his like entire getup and like style in Mario 64 is inspired by the Game Boy Donkey Kong game.
Nice.
And then there's Metroid 2. So it's amongst the best.
A quality title.
Amongst the best like regular Game Boy games. So Link's Awakening is really, really good, like the new one. It has some frame rate stuff going on
That's what I heard,
as of right now, but they have promised a frame rate patch. So
I actually find that to be surprising, by the way, that
Yeah.
there's a frame rate issue. This isn't a port. This is like a Switch game designed for the Switch.
Yeah, it's a little surprising because usually Nintendo's titles are super polished in that way.
That's exactly it, yeah. Like, you'd think, like, the games that are guaranteed to be flawlessly executed right off the bat would be, like, Mario and Zelda.
Yeah, this is unusual, but they have come out and said there is a quality of life patch coming out that will greatly improve the quality of the way the game runs.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else about it is super great. So the art style and the music are phenomenal. They're both done in a new way, but that makes it look kind of like little Tykes toys, like going around. Like,
yeah,
do you remember those little Tykes toys?
Exactly. Yeah, the entire game looks like a child's play set. I was kind of reminded a little bit of Super Bomberman R, where all of your battle arenas, if you really look at them, you're like in a little toy box
like
on a park bench or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really great. I love how everything looks plasticky, like a toy.
Yeah, I've heard even the Link Amiibo has like a gloss look to it.
Yeah, I was actually just going to mention that. So, new Amiibos dropped, including the Link for this game, and it is one of the best ones.
Like Playmobil toy Link.
It's a unique-looking Amiibo. They put extra effort into making it look like this specific type of look in the game. It has that plasticky look.
Yeah, it is clearly like you're not going to mistake this for the other Link.
Oh no, I actually have two different Links, and one is the 8-bit Link from the original Legend of Zelda. Yeah, the pixel-y one, and I have this one, and I'm very happy that I have them both. They have all. Oh, and I have Wolf Link. I forgot about that. But
wasn't that just
Twilight
came
Princess
with Twilight Princess HD, right?
Yeah, that's a cool one to have too because it comes with Midna. It's really fantastic. They did a really good job with everything. Probably the best thing about this game is that it has more buttons. Like just physically.
That's true. Yeah, on the Game Boy, it was the D-pad.
So
and B and A and start.
This is one of the most unique Zelda games in that the inventory system was super unique for the time.
Well, I don't know. There's another Zelda game exactly like it.
What's that?
Link's Awakening.
Oh, shut up. No, I mean the original game.
I know.
The original game had assignable buttons for A and B. Yeah. So you didn't have a default sword button because it would have limited what you could do in the game. So what they did was they instead said you have all of the different items and equipment, including the sword and the shield. You can equip any combination of two of them. To your buttons. You don't have to have the sword equipped.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. So you could do like bombs and boomerangs and be unable to attack or defend yourself outside of the bombs and the boomerangs.
Yeah, but you could do cool things like they allowed you to basically make missiles. What you could do is you could set a bomb down and shoot it with an arrow, and it would carry the bomb.
Yeah, super clever.
Yeah, really cool stuff.
Especially for an original Game Boy game.
Really, really clever. Really, really clever stuff. And what they did in this game is there is a dedicated sword and shield button. So you do not have to choose to have those.
Yeah, it's funny because...
Which is great.
It's kind of funny because on the Game Boy, not having a dedicated sword and shield button was the quality of life improvement. But now that we have more buttons, assigning them permanently to the sword and the shield is a quality of life improvement. Like, it's just funny how that works.
Yeah. So you could choose two other tools to assign to the other two face buttons, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It is pretty much exactly the same game. The one thing you could level as a criticism is that I'm about halfway through the game already, just because I know the game so goddamn well from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
One thing that you could level a criticism at, if this is a thing, is that I played this game so many times when I was a kid that I know the game exactly.
So it's like almost too faithful of a remake. It's not like Resident Evil, where it's like it'll fool you because you think you know it.
Yeah, what they could have done was they could have put new puzzles, but they're the same exact puzzles. So if you remember how to solve them.
Well, actually, that would have been an amusing nod to the original, because like DX came out, and it's like now we have color, like, and a color dungeon where the gimmicks are based on colors. You have to be able to see it to play it. So it would be interesting if they had like Switch unique puzzles with like dual screens or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's certainly a nostalgia trip, which is great, and it's definitely a better version of the original game.
I can't believe it's going to rip off Ballad of the Windfish from Majora's Mask.
Beautiful version of that song, by the
yes.
way. In this new game, really, the music is like up there. Like
it's some of the better Zelda music.
If you're in the village, it's like plinking on one of those like child pianos. It's really
nice.
Really cute. I really love it.
Hey, do you think they'll ever release like a Switch Link's Adventure DX or Link's Awakening DX where it's like only in black and green?
Oh, dude, that would be awesome.
The stupidest thing, and it's only in 4x3.
That would be funny, but yeah, no, I mean it's great. I think there's room for extra stuff to be added, but if that was my only complaint, I'm still happy with it, because it basically perfects an already awesome game. So I mean I can't really level that criticism at it, because it's being sold as a remaster, and it is. So I love it. I think anybody who loved playing it will love it, and also anybody who's never played it, because maybe it was a Game Boy game and you didn't want to go back to it. This is the perfect time to play it.
Or even if you didn't have a Game Boy growing up.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I didn't.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm really it gets a total thumbs up for me, and I'm sure it'll be even better once they improve the frame rate. And there's really only frame rate dips when you first appear on a screen.
Okay, it's not just during whatever.
No, it doesn't happen during a lot of the action. It's more like when it starts to render everything. Yeah, exactly. So
fair enough.
I really don't think it's that bad.
Yeah, it's not it should be improved, but that's not terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on from that, I did want to mention the new Amiibos, because I think they're pretty significant, at least in terms of what kinds of things I like. I'm not a huge Amiibo guy, but I don't collect them all. Like Old Man Stompy gets like nearly all of them. I pick and choose which ones I like. But the ones that came out this time are really neat. So you had not only the Link from Link's Awakening, the new one. You had Ivysaur and Squirtle, which are cool. OG Pokemon that everybody loves. Squirtle is my favorite Pokemon, and the only one that I would buy an Amiibo for, so I did.
Yeah, but also they're directly tied to the Pokemon trainer. Those are the Pokemon he uses. Like Squirtle is Form 1 Water, Ivysaur is Form 2 Plant, and or Grass, I guess, and Charizard is Form 3 Fire.
Yeah, I don't think they have Charizard quite yet. They're probably going to make a big Amiibo for that, if I'm going to guess.
But like they're setting up a pattern anyway.
Sure.
Now my question is, if they're gonna do like Pokemon like X Charizard, because that's like the final Smash.
Yeah, who knows? But I picked up Squirrel because I like him. I think
Mega Evolution, whatever it was called. Sorry, it was just the Mega Evolution.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah, I'm not. I've only played Yellow, guys. I'm sorry.
I only played Blue back in the day, so and I just like Squirtle's design. I think he's a cool looking character. And also Solid Snake came out. So
yeah, that's pretty rad.
Yeah, I bought Solid Snake for that one
for a while. I mean, he was back in like the Wii U. It's not like he's like a new Switch character or anything. It's been a long time
he wasn't
coming.
in the Wii U. He wasn't on the Wii U.
Excuse me. No, you're right. He was Brawl.
Yeah, so he actually didn't have an opportunity to be an amiibo during that time period.
That's right. Yeah, he was in Ultimate Smash. You got me.
Yeah, so no, this is the perfect time for him. Simon is coming out later this year. Simon Belmont, which is definitely one I'm going to buy. You know that.
Is Richter coming too?
Richter isn't on the schedule yet, but I think he's coming. Eventually.
Yeah, I mean you gotta do one for everyone, if only because amiibos and Smash are functional. Like you train their dummies.
Yeah, they're really cool. It's a shame that there are so many. I mean, it's a shame.
Like 70+ characters.
There are so many characters.
Like real life is crazier than Mugen right now. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and Mugen's a joke. So I mean,
well, that's the thing. Like Smash is like official Mugen, but like where the game actually works, and it's not just you copy paste it in a character and hope it doesn't break the game.
Exactly, but I really like the non-Nintendo amiibos.
Yeah.
That's actually like one of my favorite things. Speaking of later in December, some additional Shovel Knight ones are coming out. The Shovel Knight triple pack with Plague Knight.
Oh, very nice.
Was it Death Knight and?
The guy with the scythe.
Yeah, and King Knight.
It wasn't Death Knight, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Like he had his own DLC campaign.
Yeah, I forget.
Spectre Knight.
Spectre Knight, yeah. And I think it's King Knight is the other one.
That would make sense because they're the guys with their own DLC stories. Yeah, Knight.
The triple pack's coming out as well as a gold Shovel Knight. I won't be getting the gold one, but I will be getting the triple pack. I'm not big on the gold variants. I actually like them with their colors and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I actually have one of the rarest amiibos, the gold Mega Man, and I actually don't like them nearly as much as regular Mega Man.
Yeah, what we need is the gold armor for Mega Man X from X3. That's where it's at.
Well, they're not made up like that. They're not made up like a like.
No, I know. It's just they colored it yellow.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
it just makes me think of those Mario ones from back in the day. There was a silver Mario and a gold Mario. I was like, okay.
Yeah. So, moving on from that, there's a bunch of new stuff coming out this week as we speak. AI Somnium Files came out on digital the last 2 weeks, I think, or maybe last week. And the physical editions are shipping this week.
I'm excited about that.
Did you get the limited edition of this one?
Yeah, I went for the PS4. Although, if you're interested, this is more just like, I think, as like just a shelf item. But Limited Run Games had...
The PC one, right?
I don't know if it's still up, but yeah, they had a pre-order up for the PC release, which is like exactly the same as the PS4 collector's edition, just on PC instead.
So I ended up getting this one for Switch because it's a visual novel type game, so I don't think there's really going to be much performance issues or anything like that. So I'm really looking forward to that. Plus, this is the type of game I think the Switch is perfect for. But I'm really excited for this game, and apparently it's getting rave reviews from the people that like this type of game.
Yeah, I mean these games, like a lot of these Spike Chunsoft VNs are getting, like at worst, like very good reviews.
Yeah, like
Zero Time Dilemma. Like, we
consider
the Nunnery Game trilogy, but it was good.
Well, apparently this one's amazing. Like, it's as good as a Steins Gate game or a science adventure game.
This is killing me. Like, I still have to play Steins Gate. How long have I had Steins Gate?
I'm stuck playing Chaos Head. I'm in the middle of Chaos Head right now.
I should play that too. It's just like, damn, they're right there the whole time for years. I just haven't touched them.
They're also like amongst the lengthiest visual novels you can play.
They're endeavors. They are.
Yeah, so, I mean, nobody blames you.
I should play Sayano Uda as well, just because it's like, have you heard of Sayano Uda?
That's the eroge one, right?
I think so. That's the one where, like, your girlfriend is this creepy, like, flesh monster.
Yeah.
But, like, I heard it was, like, a damn good game.
Yeah, very creepy, too, from what I understand. So I definitely want to play that. I haven't gotten to it, obviously, but...
yeah, it's easily available on JAST, I believe, digitally.
Yeah, visual novels are amongst my favorite genre. I love playing them, especially the really good ones that we've been getting lately.
Yeah, I'm super happy that they're like starting to get actually onto store shelves in America. Like the Danganronpa,
they're popular.
Like it's and 999. Like it's really cool that they're starting to become more of a thing.
Shibuya Scramble.
Shibuya Scramble is freaking unbelievable. Like I wonder, because like Ever 17 came out in America, like back when no one heard of visual novels and didn't care about them. I wonder if they'll ever release like the other two games in that series. I
Yeah.
forgot what they were called, with the one with the number 7 in the name and the one with the number 11 in the name.
Lucky number 11.
Yes. X versus Sever. But like Ever 17 is like the middle entry apparently.
With EK is EKS.
ECKS X. What the fuck?
But going along with that, Contra Rogue Corps is shipping. I don't know what to think about it because like some of the initial stuff has been like, but like I kind of have a feeling it might pull through. Also
remember that like whether it caters to your tastes does not necessarily like is not necessarily the same
coordinate
thing as,
with other people's.
Yeah, like what reviews say. Like I love God Hand and reviews shat on that game, so you never know.
I am a huge Contra fan, so I even like some of the unconventional Contra games. I love Neo Contra.
That's just the thing. Like based on the kinds of games you like you have to remember that like if it's not a 1 or 2 player side scroller, that means it's a failed Contra game. Like that's not necessarily true.
A lot of people are saying stuff like that, even like just making judgments on it. And
yeah,
I'm
but like give it 2 or 3 years. Like, oh, who would have guessed that Rogue Corps turned out to be such a great game? Like it's because it's not because the game was bad. It's because it wasn't what they wanted it to be.
Yeah,
so it might be good.
My expectations are like I'm keeping what I'm thinking the game to be like to a minimum, because I just want to enjoy it. I want to see whether I like it.
Like again, everybody was like highly questioning Majora's Mask when it came out, and now it's like everyone's saying it's like the best Zelda ever made, except for like when Breath of the Wild came out.
Yeah, you know what? I was among that crowd back in the day. It was too different for me, and now I love it. So I mean, like, it's just one of those things. I thought it was
weird. I was like, I don't know about losing my inventory, but I like the aesthetic. The only game I would say I was very biased against when it came out because it didn't meet my expectations was Wind Waker's like visuals. I was just like, it looks so cartoony. Like this is lame. And then like I finally played it, and it was really good.
It's really fucking good. So I'm getting this on PS4. I recommend if you have the choice to get this one on PS4. In particular, everybody knows that I'm a Switch fan. I buy a lot of my games on Switch, but in particular for fighting games and anything that has a very strict timing element, I don't even buy those on PC because the games need to be specially optimized to take advantage of that. Like I think a closed environment is the best, so PS4 is really good for this kind of thing, or Xbox One. So I'm going to base my opinion off of the PS4 version once I get that. I'm waiting on both of these games to arrive at my house. They'll probably arrive by tomorrow night as of this recording, so Tuesday night. So I'm really excited for both of them. I really want to see what they do with Contra because there's a lot of goofy shit in there, and I love goofy Contra. Like,
like Sega Genesis, like Contra Hardcore, like one of the hardest Contra games ever, and one of like the stupidest.
Yeah. I mean, I think Contra started getting stupid with that game, and then I don't think it ever went back, and that's a good thing. I love the goofiness. With its own
ideas.
Yeah, I mean, probably the goofiest one is Neo Contra, followed right by Rebirth right after.
Yeah, I was gonna say Rebirth is up there.
Rebirth is probably just as goofy or just a little less goofy than Neo Contra. I mean, running on top of helicopter blades. That's
funny. Yeah, I also love the idea of like 100 helicopters
running on dinosaurs
missiles at you, and you're like leaping from missile to missile. It's like absolute madness.
Well, they do that in
that was Contra 3, wasn't
it? They do that in Contra 3, yeah.
Yeah, that's also stupid as hell. Like it's great.
And that's also in. I think it's in most Contra games from 3 on because it's like also in.
It's like the dumbest
hardcore.
Thing ever. It's freaking brilliant.
It's also in hardcore as well. So
there you go.
it's in a lot of them.
Running across helicopter blades, though, that really is a whole other thing.
Also, like showing a movie of the previous game, like Shattered Soldier, showing a movie of you riding on like cool hover bikes, and then you bust through that while riding on dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's great.
And then you fight a Contra that is a talking dog that you just kick after you beat him. Like it's just like
Come on,
goofy as shit. One of the bad guys, one of the Contras that you fight is like a plant-based one, and it's really, really stupid. But like in this one, you could be a panda. Come on, like this is just like all kinds of goofy shit
and
going
in Rebirth, you could be like a lizard man called Pliskin.
Pliskin, like it's with multiple S's.
2 S's.
Yeah,
and there's like intentionally bad translation, so it's like it's not even bad
Contra.
translation. It's just it's written like it's bad translation. Yeah, you are a Contra. Like we are all Contra. I was like, what?
It's really good.
I'm not sure I know what that means, but I'm inspired anyway.
So I also wanted to mention that they came out with a pretty cool teaser trailer recently that has kind of like an animated version of the events of Contra 1.
Nice.
Recently, it's called the Galuga Archipelago, which is where the original game took place.
Does it involve Ridley Scott suing though?
I doubt he cares. But anyway, it's a pretty cool like the drawings and the characters designs are really neat in it. It has some limited animation, but it's pretty neat. It sets the tone for the new game, which is all about like the government pulling the wool over people's eyes to set the tone for the new game. So maybe it's a political statement. So anyway, it's pretty cool. So I definitely it's definitely worth your time. It's only like 2.5 minutes, so definitely watch it. And I was impressed that that Konami's actually putting some weight behind this game, and it's not a budget release. Like it's a full-fledged like $60 game, or no, it's a $40 game, but that's still
it's Contra. Like,
for a Contra game, for a Contra game that's like I'm used to like the last Contra game, which was Rebirth or a Hardcore Uprising. They both were like $15 each, and they were both great games. So this is like a full-fledged like title, so with a full budget behind it, and I think it's Konami kind of part of their newer initiative to kind of win people back, with the collections they've been putting out and stuff like that, and they've been doing well. They've been doing, and also the PC Engine Mini and all that stuff. They've been doing well lately. So let's. I'm gonna throw every bit of positive vibe at this to me, like, and I hope I like it, that kind of thing. So moving on from that, this is pretty neat. So Voltar, who is one of the extended friends of Retro RGB and a few of the other classic gaming circles, he's working on a chip that is so when you install a PSIO, which is the thing that allows you to play PS1 disc images.
The PSIO is like spells PSIO, so it's like the PlayStation like IO like in-out port.
Yeah, I think it's
actually, isn't it more like 10? No, it's in out, isn't it?
Well, actually, the 1 and 0 on electronic devices does mean 1 and 0 technically. It means on and off.
Yeah, it's because it's binary.
Yes, exactly. So I mean, you can interpret it in any way. I think on their website they say they pronounce it as PSIO, so that's why I'm saying it. But I also say PSIO because PlayStation IO, it just makes sense, input output. But anyway, when you install it, you need to install like a special switch chip to allow the system to function still.
Yeah, because you could easily just plug it into the back of your PlayStation, but that doesn't make it work. They need to like solder a thing onto the motherboard to get it to like be accepted.
So Voltar is working on a version of this chip that includes a mod chip, so you can also play legitimate games from all the different regions as well. As the disk images at the same time.
I didn't realize that wasn't already a thing, because like I know that when you launch the PSIO, you can just like choose to play from disk. Does it not work for other region disks?
I don't think it allows you to hop region. So
good thing I still have my Goldfinger then.
yeah, exactly. So this is pretty cool. He's releasing the design of it for free. Nice. So it's untested as of now, so take it with a grain of salt, but it's still really neat. It's definitely something that'll be essential, especially for this next bit of info. So Lotus and I were talking about this. This kind of just leaked out kind of today, right before this recording. But Dan Kuntz, aka Citrus 3000 PSI, self-leaked that his HDMI project that he's been working on is nearing the prototype phase, which is great. So he revealed it as the PlayStation 1 / PlayStation 2 HDMI project. So this is great. If you already have a PSIO or PSIO enabled PS1, this will be great for you. Or just get a mod chipped PS2, and this will be really great.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm actually particularly excited about the PS2 because personally I own a FrameMeister, so I could always just run both systems into it anyway. It's not a big deal.
Sure.
But the thing with the PS2 is that if I want to use RGB, then we're just good to go. But if I want to play a game in like 1080 mode, if it supports that via component cables, there's occasional little blinks in and out, like just because of like weird resolution something or other. I don't know. Like the component is not perfect for this. I've asked online about this, and they said like, yeah, it's just kind of a component thing. So if HDMI takes care of that, then that'll be the ideal, because I can play, because RGB works better with the FrameMeister, but your maximum is like 480. So an HDMI solution would be amazing. It's like it would be the best of both worlds, and I could go up to a natural 720 or like 1080i or something.
Yeah, so what's good about this, as with all HDMI like specific things, like I have a FrameMeister and an OSSC, but my goal is to get rid of them.
Assuming this is upscale, that is. I forgot. Is this upscale?
Yes, it definitely is. So
okay, because I know for GameCube it's just like the HDMI cord, and that's it.
Yeah, so this is going to be similar to the Dreamcast HDMI project that he recently put out, where you can upscale it all the way to 1080p, which is fan-freaking-tastic. So
yeah, that's marvelous.
It's one of the best mods you could do to a system. That and the N64 HDMI mod is freaking fantastic. That's really good too.
They give you other options with the N64 too. Like you can turn anti-aliasing on.
It's
and
a dream.
Like select the resolution you want. It's unreal.
Yeah, the N64 one might be like probably the best mod ever made for any system.
They really went all out with that one, yeah.
It's really, really good. But the Dreamcast one is way up there as well. So I'm sure that, it's made by the same people as the Dreamcast one.
Well, the Dreamcast one is great just because it eliminates the need for you to swap the VGA stuff in and out.
Yeah,
just the basic upscaling for a Dreamcast with no other bells and whistles. That's already like leaps and bounds better than what the current solution was for Dreamcast stuff.
Yeah. You had to fuck around. You needed an upscaler plus like a Toro box or whatever. Yeah. So to get it to the point where you could play it well, most of the time. So this HDMI project has a lot of promise. I hope it has fast resolution switching. God, I hope it does. Where you switch from lower resolution to higher resolution. That's like one of the flaws of the upscaler devices that we have.
Yes.
Is that with Saturn and PlayStation 1 games in particular, during that era, there are many games that have menus that have a higher resolution than the gameplay, and in particular RPGs, mostly RPGs. Mostly RPGs. Chrono Cross has that issue too. Let me see here.
The Final Fantasy games, right? Like
Final Fantasy games,
7, 8, 9.
The Virtual Fighter, I think, has that issue. Like Virtual Fighter 2, for Saturn. Darius 2 has that issue. So, hopefully this helps eliminate that and puts it into 1080p constantly. So the TV just recognizes it as 1080p and then moves from there, and internally takes care of it.
Yeah, like what makes this frustrating, I don't know about the OSSC, but for the FrameMeister, when it switches resolutions,
it blinks out.
Well, it blinks out. Like, I don't know, though, if this is the FrameMeister's fault or if it's like the speed at which my TV monitor refreshes, but it's like a couple seconds.
Yeah,
And
so that,
if you're
I
playing
think
a shooter,
that's
then
the
that's
issue.
just death.
I think that's it's like a combination of the two. And so what Lotus is referring to is like the newer TVs do not expect you to change resolutions on the fly, because nothing really does that. So it hard locks. So I think that's really what it is. But so in order to have this, you need a something that will on the fly convert like variable resolutions to the same resolution. So, but all of the previous HDMI things haven't had any issue that I've seen. So hopefully they're taking that into consideration. That's part of the reason why I want to get rid of the upscalers. Is as nice as they are, as good as they are, they still have flaws. And they're not easy to use. They're not user friendly. Like only experts like us, and I'm not even that much of an expert. I just do a lot of research.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, it doesn't take an expert to do what we did, but it does take an expert to make the stuff that we got. Because with the FrameMeister, you'll plug like each system has a different best setup for your TV, like the horizontal and the vertical, because like otherwise it'll just stretch the image, because it'll be like, what's that, 1080? So you'll need to shrink the image and do this and that and adjust it to like fit your TV correctly. And the FrameMeister is very customizable. You can do it however you want, but it's really tedious and difficult to figure out. So somebody put God knows how many hours of work into it and saved those profiles online. You could just download those profiles and put them into your FrameMeister and you're done. Like, it's pretty foolproof, but if that weren't available, then man, you'd be doing a lot of tweaking.
Yeah, and who has the patience for that? Very few people. So that's why it's my goal to eliminate these things in my own personal setup. I don't have a use for analog analog displays. Like I wish I could have like a grand setup with multiple CRTs that I have there, but I just don't have that kind of space. And also I'm like a regular human being, so you know what I mean. Like there's only so much nerd shit that I can have around, and I don't particularly have a super affection for CRTs. Like I like them, and I know why they're good, but like they're so inconvenient. They're just so inconvenient. It's not worth it for me. So converting all of my old systems to be able to play on newer displays is a great thing, and that is a great hurdle that we'll be able to overcome. Now I have almost all of my old systems. Have an HDMI solution save the PS2, which I kind of do. I have the PS2 and PS1. I have a backwards compatible PS3, so I'm lucky in that regard. But I can't play imports with it. So that's a thing. So that's why I would want to have an HDMI PS2 so I could do this stuff. And with a mod chip. And that'll allow me to play PS1 games and stuff like that. But I would really love to have a Saturn HDMI solution.
The funny thing with the Saturn is an HDMI solution would be ideal, but I would just settle for a not loose and shaky.
It's really bad. It's bad on all of them.
There was a time where I was trying to record Saturn stuff, and I was really afraid that something like broke, or like the thing I paid all this money for the Rhea for, like, oh god, but like no, I just had to like jiggle the cord until it clicked right. Like, it was so frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, luckily it does have RGB out of the box, which is pretty nice, but
that is pretty great,
you don't have to mod it to get that RGB out of it, and then you can feed that into a FrameMeister or SSC. But
yeah, that's what I've been doing. But like, I would love, like, an HDMI thing would be great. But what I really want is an HDMI out that has like a housing that just it clicks in, like it is like, trust me,
I agree.
If you have a Saturn at home, just put the video cable into it. Don't even hook it up to the TV. Just put the video cable in. You'll kind of feel a little give. And if you do want to hook it up to the TV, see if you can get it to display the first time.
Yeah,
You'll get it eventually. You will, but
it's very touchy.
You'll be like, wait a minute, I don't remember this being this hard.
Yeah, I mean, I upgraded my Famicom, my AV Famicom to have HDMI at this point.
Yeah.
I have the analog Super NT and also the Mega SG.
Yeah, I got those analogs. Actually, speaking of which, you know what I would love an analog for is the Saturn.
That's not gonna happen.
I know it's not, but like the HDMI out would be great, but also the Saturn has a very long but limited enough to make you a little nervous battery life. Like its save battery, like on the console, is one of those dime batteries you get at CVS.
Yeah, you know what? Apparently that multi-system thing that people have been talking about for a long time. I forget what it's called.
The Polymega thing.
Yeah, the Polymega apparently is playing really good Saturn emulation right now. So that
Okay.
might be up your alley, but it is traditional emulation. It's not FPGA.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see just how good it is. But apparently, quite a few people, including Molly from formerly of EGM and Warning a Huge Podcast, she apparently really had a good time with the Polymega in its early stage. So she even said that like some of the more obscure games that they actually had on like an image of,
Nice.
and they could try it. So looking forward to this kind of stuff. But this is great. This new HDMI project, and hopefully more to come. And I did mention analog stuff, so I might as well mention this. The analog digital to analog converter was put up for pre-order a couple weeks ago. I think I missed talking about it. I have decided that I don't want it, but it will eventually give you the ability to play like 32x games with your Mega SG.
Mm-hmm.
It's not its primary function. Its primary function is to allow you to play the analog systems with a CRT or something like that, which is really neat. If you're into that, this is an essential thing. But I just thought to myself, well, I already still have my original systems, and why not just play my 32X on an original system if I have to go through all that trouble, and I don't have to spend anything for it. But it does convert it to analog, so it does look really nice for an analog signal. But I'm looking for like I would pay a lot of money for it if it allowed me to play my 32X digitally. So that's my take on it. But I think it's cool. They're going through kind of a shipping criticism right now. Apparently their shipping costs are way too high. But whatever. If this is your thing, this is the best way to get at it. Moving on from that, Crix, who is the maker of all of the Ever drives as well as the SNES 2SD. Pretty much the leading maker of flash carts around, has been talking about newer versions of his flash carts. He recently came out with the SD to SNES Pro. I actually got mine through Stone Age Gamer. I actually upgraded, so I got a big chunk of the cost taken off, which is really nice of them to do. They don't have to do stuff like that. So I'm very excited for that. Apparently, it allows you to do more things later on that people are working on. But he announced that his new version of his Sega Genesis cartridge, just like the Mega SD from Terra Onion, the makers of the Neo Geo SD flash cart, and also the SS2DS. For the PC Engine, they came out with a flash cart recently that the Mega SD that can play Sega CD games without the hardware. He confirmed that his new one will also play Sega CD games. So I'm personally going to wait until his comes out to see if he has additional features, because he might just implement 32X support, which is one of the Mega SD's not a flaw, but like shortcoming, I would say. It's one of the things that it doesn't take into account. Plus, his stuff is always top notch, and it's always like fairly priced. So Terra Onion stuff is usually really expensive. It's worth it usually, but it's expensive. Crix's stuff might actually just beat it out, and I've been a loyal customer of his for a long time, and all the flash cards I've ever bought from him have been very good. So I'm waiting for that to make a decision and for the kinks to be worked out to figure out which one I want, which is going to be pretty nice. I definitely recommend that for you as well, Lotus, because I know that this probably has a little bit of relevance for you, the Sega Genesis stuff. And he's also working on a new version of the NES flash cart as well. So he's working on a pro version of that will have like save states for every game, which is really neat. For NES games, like save states are essential.
Yeah.
Quality of life. Oh, I forgot to mention with Link's Awakening, you can save at any point, by the way.
Oh, that's cool.
It basically just takes a snapshot. Moving on, this is really neat. This kind of just dropped. John Romero releases his Sigil update, Sigil version 1.21. Apparently, this is a major update to Sigil. He said that there's a ton of like level tweaks and stuff that he implemented into the game, so I'm sure it is worth it. I kind of have to make a decision on whether I want to finish the original version of it and then kind of like go through his updated version, because if they're that drastically different, you might have camps of people that are like the original better than the new one, that kind of thing. So, a lot of you guys know that I'm currently playing the original Doom engine games. I am nearing towards the end of Doom 2 right now. I'm at the very last level before you go into like the hell combination, like Earth and Hell levels. And that's like the last section of the Doom 2 proper before the expansion. So I'm looking forward to this. I mean, Sigil, I'm a little warmer to Sigil now that I've moved up to it. I think it was a mistake playing like the original 3 episodes of Doom and then the 4th episode of Doom, which also that came out after Doom 2, didn't it?
Oof. I forgot, but it might have.
Thy flesh consumed, or was it no rest for the living? Yeah,
no rest for the living was like the Doom 3, Doom 2 stuff.
So I think Thy Flesh Consumed came out after Doom 2.
It may have.
So I think it was a mistake playing that in Sigil, or trying to play them before playing Doom 2, because there's a clear progression for how they want you to play these games. They just get harder. So now that I've played a lot of Doom 2, I can get better around in Sigil. So I'm probably not going to move on to beating Sigil until I'm done at least Doom 2 proper. But I'm having a lot of fun with it. Probably Doom 2 is my favorite of like the Doom stuff.
Doom 2 is really, really good.
It just like the level design is way opened up compared to Doom 1. The enemy variety is up there, plus the super shotgun. Goddamn, so much fun to use.
Super shotgun is nuts.
I'm really enjoying Doom 2. It actually Heretic is a lot like Doom 2 as well, just like in terms of level design. So I'm really enjoying it. What's your favorite out of the packs?
That's tough. I mean, I always have a soft spot for Doom 1 Episode 1, like Deep in the Dead.
It's just fun.
I play that endlessly. It's just like you could just go through it real
quick.
It's
like Mario World 1, Mario.
Yeah, exactly.
Super Mario.
You play the first level, yes, I remember this. Doom 2 is probably the most classic for me. But I do have a love for Final Doom TNT Evolution. I don't that's just kind of for some reason I just play that one more than Plutonia, and I think I've said this before, but look out for it when you get there. But Final Doom has like completely different soundtrack, and it's really good. and nobody knows about it. Like, you know how a lot of Doom music is covered on like OC Remix and stuff like that?
Oh, sure.
People barely touch Final Doom, and it's a shame.
Well, I think it's just because at that point there were like Quake had been out and all that.
No,
other
I know
stuff.
It's like we get it, but like it's really good music though.
Sure. I just think I think people had been saturated with Doom clones at that point. So like, if you were only playing Doom stuff, it was really freaking good. And also like the official Doom Engine games are all really good games. I can't think of a bad one. Like Heretic's really good. I know Hexen is a good game. I haven't played it yet, but I used to play it a little bit when I was in middle school, and I enjoyed that. And Sigil, what I played of that, I really enjoyed because it was it's like a almost like an RPG kind of game, so it's pretty neat. But anyway, moving on from that. SCUMMVM, the emulator that allows you to play the classic LucasArts games, but so many other classic adventure games now. It has so many. Like it allows you to play like King's Quest and stuff like that, and all kinds of other stuff. It's really a fantastic project that people have been working on, and it's ported to a lot of different platforms too. Like you can even play these games on like the DS, like the original DS. That's actually how I played the original Sam & Max, was on my DS with a flash cart, which was so neat. And it played well. Like it wasn't even buggy. It now supports Blade Runner, which is one of my like white whales when it comes to classic gaming. Like that is a game that I love. Blade Runner. I love both movies. I read the book. I love the book. I even kind of like Soldier with Kurt Russell.
Mm-hmm.
The Paul W.S. Anderson movie.
Yeah, I've seen pieces of that.
That is in the Blade Runner universe, technically.
Yep.
But probably the best Paul W.S. Anderson movie other than Mortal Kombat. But
Mortal Kombat has some quality.
Yeah. But this is a unique story in the Blade Runner universe that takes place concurrently with the original movie, made by Westwood Studios before they were acquired by EA. It's probably incredibly difficult to acquire this game. I don't think you can find it on GOG or Steam right now. You kind of have to just buy an original copy. Yeah. Luckily, I kind of, even though I knew I couldn't play it, I kind of picked one up a couple years ago. So I'm gonna.
Yeah, I actually have a copy as well.
Stick it in there and give it a shot.
For Windows NT.
Moving on, I'm really excited about that, so I'll report once I've put some time into it. So Apple Arcade released for Apple TVs and other Apple devices, iPods and iPhones and iPads. It is their new gaming initiative, so they are kind of trying to make it a little more console-like, because I think like the mobile games are kind of getting kind of stale right now. Like you barely ever hear about a lot of phone games as much anymore, unless you're playing certain gacha titles like Old Man Stompy and Pyro, kind of like that kind of stuff. But you don't hear about those kind mobile titles like you used to. You really don't. This is really interesting. Like Devolver Digital is releasing Exit the Gungeon. I don't know whether you saw video of this, but it looks really fun. It looks like basically like a Gunstar Heroes run and gun type game.
Okay.
But it's with Enter the Gungeon characters. I'm upset that it's on a platform that I don't use. But they said that it is launching exclusively on Apple Arcade. So usually when they use specific language like that, it means that it's coming for other stuff.
Yeah, so, launching exclusively, not just it will be exclusive forever.
Yeah, so I'll wait 6 months to not use Apple Arcade. And apparently Sayonara Wild Arts is a good game. I don't know much about it, but I just heard rumblings of it online. So apparently they have some good titles for it, but I think that one is multi-platform. So
Yeah, and actually they were doing the same thing with the new Shantae game, the Seven Sirens. That's an Apple Arcade exclusive, like, until it isn't.
Yeah, so I'm okay with getting it a little bit later on another system. So once they start releasing like essential exclusives, then I'm gonna grumble. But let's see. I mean, even games kind of get like an upgrade when they jump to another platform anyway. So maybe we'll even get a better version of it for the Switch or whatever. So this was really cool. If you're into the special reserve games and limited run games kind of stuff, special reserve games announced their the contents of their Downwell issuing, which is really neat. So this is the first time I've ever really seen this, but there's a hardbound instruction booklet included, which is pretty nuts. There's also they are also including a genuine flip grip made by Jeremy Parrish, and because it is one of the essential ways of playing the game, you can do like the tate mode, where you you play your system vertically instead of horizontally. Really neat stuff that they're including both of those. They're basically giving you like the best condition to play the game included with it, which is really neat. It's kind of like an official endorsement of that way of playing it. Really neat, and it's a very reasonable amount of money for all of that stuff. It's only $30. I think it's a very good, attractive looking package too, like in terms of art and stuff like that. And Downwell is a fantastic game. I really love it. So I'm probably not getting it because I already own Flip Grip and I own Downwell several times. But if you don't own it already or you want to get a Flip Grip, this is a good way to do it, I think. And then this is really great. I'm certainly glad that this is happening. Grandia HD Collection, the Gung Ho Entertainment, the holders of the IP of it, have announced that they are working on the criticisms that people have leveled at it. Primarily the filtering is up there, and probably the bad translations for the.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I hope they didn't Fraulein the bad translation.
Lotus is of course referencing our discussion on this previously, where the person who translated it from German or from English into German translated miss as in like you used your sword and you missed the enemy at the target. They translated it as like miss, like little miss person.
Yeah, like not misses, but miss.
Yeah,
so, like, misses is Frau,
so,
miss is Fraulein.
So when you miss with a sword swing, it just says Fraulein.
It's like
big
what?
letters. I kind of like that better that way. But anyway, I think the major criticism is, of course, the filtering, which I can't believe this day and age that any company thinks that is the right way to go, because that is one of the major criticisms of any classic re-release. If that happens, is like with Final Fantasy and all the other like mobile ports and stuff like that. That is a major the main reason why certain people don't want to pick this up. So I will certainly pick this up if they fix that. So I think that's great that they're working on it, and they promised that the PC version of this collection, which I didn't even know had been announced, will have all of those improvements. So they said that it will be delayed a little bit, but I don't think anybody will care. I mean, they want to like I've said previously before, credit where credit's due. I mean, if they're willing to make amends and give people what they want, that's a great thing. So certainly a great peace offering, I think, which is nice. In the same breath, that Dragon Quest Collection 1 through 3 that I had talked about before on the Switch is coming to the US officially now. It's hard for me to justify this one because it looks very odd. It's definitely it looks like the mobile ports, but it's really weird. So if you take a look at it, the backgrounds and like all of the environments are all like the 16-bit versions, from the Super Nintendo versions of Dragon Quest 1 through 3, which is good. That's good. But your characters are all like drawn like cheap looking.
It looks really weird. Like it looks like they're
characters
from the wrong
on
game.
top of that. Yeah, they should have just went with the sprites. The original sprites. I don't know why they didn't. They didn't look bad back then. The Super Nintendo versions of these games are great.
Doing this, I mean, not this specific thing, but like Square Enix just can't get it right with their future ports of old games.
It should be easy. I mean, and the worst part for me is the enemy art when you go to fight. Looks terrible. It doesn't like. I would give it a pass if it looked like actual Toriyama art. That would be really neat. Like if they put his his sketches or something, as the battle display. That would be really neat. But if you take a look at like the dragon that you fight, it looks really like shitty, simplistic art style. It looks terrible. I might just forgo this and just go back and play fan translations of the Super Famicom games versions of these games, because that sucks. Why do you keep screwing this up? You own this stuff. I don't know. Why should I go back and play a fan translation of this stuff? You got it right with the Secret of Mana games. The Secret of Mana games are the Collection of Mana is great. Why'd you fuck up here? You had a fuck up with the Chrono Trigger PC version, and then they fixed it.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah, but they didn't go back and they fixed the other two Final Fantasy games that they had the issue with. So I don't know what they're thinking over there. They're probably not thinking at all. They're probably just thinking it's a quick cash grab. Let's release 1 through 3 while 11's about to be released. That kind of thing. But what the hell, So anyway, these are pretty awesome collections. I've been talking about the Psykio shmup collections. Those are up for pre-order for the US versions of those through on NAS's website. They are pricey, but they are nice. I won't be buying them this way because I own almost all these games individually except for 2 of them. And that's because they haven't come out in the US yet, but I think they are. So they're $60 a piece for I think 6-game collection in each case. All the games are great, so pretty much except for maybe Soul Divide. So I definitely recommend it. It's a really nice collector's set that they're coming out with. It comes with soundtracks and stuff like that. So if you're into that stuff, it's definitely good. I just can't justify the buying it multiple times at this point, but it's cool. I just quickly wanted to mention this Untitled Goose Game. Looks like everybody loves it. I kind of want to play this in a group setting. It just looks like a sandboxy kind of game where you can do a lot of annoying things to people as a goose.
So you want to take a gander at it?
I'll take a gander in your frock.
Wow, that's a deep cut.
But honk if you like this. Geese. But I can't wait. This looks like a lot of fun. And I kind of want to show my fiance this, so that'll be a lot of fun. And I quickly wanted to mention this. It'll Do 2 got delisted from console digital storefronts. This is a Nicalis game. It's probably related to all of the recent bad press. The PC version is still up at this point. It looks like it's self-published, so it doesn't have any involvement from Nicalis. So I don't think there's any danger of that being delisted, but I'm sure it couldn't hurt to grab the game anyway and support them directly. But I'm always worried that certain games will disappear, and this is a good game. This is a Zelda-like game that's a lot of fun. It's a shame that Nicalis was involved with a lot of actually good fun games. It really stinks that there might be some issues here. There's quite a few Nicalis games that are console exclusive. The newest Umahara Kawaze, I think is only console. It stinks that a lot of these games, might not survive this scandal. I would be on the lookout to maybe buy the ones that you want, even if you're kind of like thinking, I don't know whether I want to support the company. They're good games, and a lot of people work really hard on them in those companies too. So don't forget that. But I certainly don't condone their bad behavior either. So your mileage may vary on that, but you may want to pay attention to was it the gem fighters kind of game that they put out recently, and also the fighting game that they had a little while ago. That was pretty nice.
What, Blade Strangers?
Decent Blade Strangers, yeah. So I definitely recommend maybe taking a look to see whether you want to purchase those, because there might be some underlying issues that might get them delisted. So hopefully it doesn't happen. And did you want to say a bit about this news from Night Dive, Lotus?
Yeah, real quick. It looks like Night Dive Studios, this is the company that has resurrected a whole bunch of old PC games.
Great games, too.
Yeah.
Turok 2.
Scream. Yeah, Turok 2, Harvester, like System Shock 1 and 2, D, the game. They've brought them back and made them like optimized for current hardware on like Steam and GOG.
And also waded through a lot of the legal issues with these games as well.
Yeah, especially System Shock 2. But in any case, they are partnering with Limited Run Games to release a new like big box copy of System Shock 1 for its anniversary, which is pretty cool. So I assume that this will be optimized to play on modern systems, because why wouldn't it be? Like, System Shock is probably a pain in the ass to get working otherwise. So that's just super cool of them to do. I'm pretty excited about that.
So this isn't based on the remake, huh? This is going to be based
the remake
on the original game, huh?
No, the remake is Night Dive's own thing. They kickstarted it, and they're releasing a big box of that too if you opted for that perk. So this is, I think, OG System Shock.
It's still cool. Those vinyls look pretty sick, and
yeah, they also have vinyls. And System Shock 1 has very different music style from System Shock 2. It's very like, I know they're both video games, but System Shock 1 is very like old style video games where it's like entertaining music while you play, where System Shock 2 is way more ambient.
Yeah, it's very
it's kind of like Doom. It's like, listen to this cool music.
Yeah, it has kind of like a Euro techno feel to it.
Yeah, it doesn't
like
sound
from the
like
90s.
Doom, but it's more like, fun music while you play your video game kind of music.
Yeah, and also the art, it has like the original art, like an update of the art from the original box, which is
the
awesome.
old art is pretty eerie. It's great.
Yeah, it just like has that great like cyberpunk aesthetic where it's like, oh, it's the future. You are upgraded, but you're not happy.
Also, System Shock
very metal
1,
and flesh.
System Shock 1 also has one of the better game over screen sequences.
Yeah,
absolutely. Do you remember that one?
Go ahead.
Okay, it's creepy. Because the thing with System Shock 1 and 2, and Bioshock does this as well, is that you can activate these resurrection areas on the floor you're on. So if you die, then for some monetary cost, you'll respawn there. But if you don't have the money, or if you... I don't mean real game money, I mean in-game. If you don't have the cost, which is usually dirt cheap, or if you've never activated the respawn point, then you die and it's game over. But it's creepy because it shows this big four-legged spider bot powered by, like, the human brain. You just get, like, put into it, so it's just walking around with your body just dangling from it and not reaching the floor. It's eerie as hell. It's like, don't get a game over in this game.
Yeah, no.
It's fucked up. And that's an enemy in the game, by the way. You could just fight those, so it's like you become one of them.
I should remind anybody who doesn't know Cyberpunk very well, even the good endings aren't very good in Cyberpunk.
Yeah, Cyberpunk sucks constantly. Speaking of which, I wonder how Cyberpunk 2077 is going to go.
Yeah,
there's no such thing as a good ending in that game. Even in Deus Ex was the original Cyberpunk. None of those had just, this is the good ending kinds of endings.
Yeah, I mean, Cyberpunk, even like in the like Neuromancer, which is like the prototypical like it's basically the start of the cyberpunk genre. Even the end of that is just like, well, you got away alive. That's about the best thing that you could have hoped for. Like like the main character, I'm gonna spoil it because it's it's like a 40-year-old book at this point. Like the main character goes back to the way his life was before the incident in the book happens, which is life sucks. He's poor and he's addicted to drugs. Like he starts off where he was left, even after all of the effort that he put in. So I mean, it's just like noir. All great noir stories either end up with the main character dead or having lost to greater powers.
Like you arrested the bad guy, but like your life's in shambles now. Like your significant other was shot in the crossfire or something.
Chinatown has probably one of the worst endings ever. Like in terms of like, oh Jesus, like terrible. So anyway, that I think that's majorly what we had to say about that stuff. You also had one other thing you wanted to talk about, right?
This is just a little blip on the radar, and it's like 3 weeks late. But I just wanted to mention that 3 weeks ago, the anime One Piece aired its 900th episode, which is just cool. Like this was like One Piece has been airing since I was in middle school, and it's not going stale. Like it's just really cool that that's a thing.
Well, I've been reading the manga for quite a little bit of time, and I just got to the part where Luffy rescued Zolo from the prison camp. So I'm catching up.
You're almost caught up. You're almost current. That's incredible.
He hasn't even gotten all of his crew yet.
Actually, even in the current episodes, it's debatable whether he's gotten all of his crew. But like, has he even gotten Zoro and his crew yet? Where you are at?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He just rescued him, so.
Yeah, but has he even joined him? I thought when he rescued Zoro, Zoro was like, "Yeah, well, thanks, but pirates fucking suck." And Luffy's like, "Oh, come on."
No, he joins him like after battling.
Well, no, I know he joins him. I just wanted to know like if you got to the part where he actually joins him.
Yeah, no, I'm up to that point.
Okay,
yeah.
Where remember how like quaint One Piece used to be?
Captain
Remember
Morgan.
When the scariest bad guy was a guy with an axe for a right hand? That was it. He has an axe.
He's nothing in that series. I know he is. He's just absolutely nothing.
Like when you see the shit One Piece is doing now, it's like remember when an axe was like the scariest thing they had to worry about.
Well, he had a metal jaw. I mean, come on.
Oh, that's true. It's not easy to punch him in the face. It's true.
And a stupid son.
Same thing with like Alvida, the first enemy of the series. She has a spiked club. Don't get hit with that.
It's just like me playing Yakuza 0. Like the first boss is giving me a little bit of trouble. I know he's easy as shit.
No, but it's not really. Like with the Yakuza bosses, yes, the final boss is harder than the first boss, but it's not like. Remember when it was so quaint that the first boss fought you with his fists? They all do that.
Yeah. Well, what I mean is like I know he's nowhere near as being like.
No, of course. Like when you get better at the game, the older bosses seem simple. But I mean, with One Piece, it's like a bladed weapon was like a threat. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like
yeah,
Luffy could just
they
block those with his hands
somebody
now.
turn into light later. I mean, come on.
Luffy's fighting like anime characters that are doing like warp speed bullshit. Like oh, but this guy has an axe. Actually, even a relatively early One Piece enemy was a guy who had like anime speed. That was his thing. He's a cool boss, too.
Well, can he Naruto run into Area 51?
Nobody can run so fast that he can't tell where he's going, and he kills one of his own crew members.
Jesus.
It's actually really cool because
that happens in The Boys.
Yeah, no, I know. But it's actually really cool because they don't show the animation at all. It just shows a crowd of pirates like, oh, fuck. Like, could you wait before doing that? And one of the guys just has a slash on him and falls over dead. You don't see, like... the captain coming up and hitting him. The guy just is hit by something and falls down. You're like, oh, like, I didn't see that at all. It's pretty great.
All right. Well, any last bits before we wrap up today's this week's recon?
No, I think that's about it for me.
Okay. Well, that is the show for this week. We want to remind you to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us a thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. I can just see old man Stompy gritting his teeth. Oh, Andrew! Yeah. AEW is really kicking off soon, by the way. So the new wrestling promotion looks like it's getting some major hype. You can also catch us on Thursday for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. This week we're going to do a little exploration of Hideo Kojima's games with his new Death Stranding come out. I think it's very appropriate. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on Steam, PSN, Xbox Live, and Twitter, Switch, and Battle.net.
And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, I'm currently publicly streaming Kingsfield 3, or American Kingsfield 2. And for patrons, I am streaming Metal Wolf Chaos XD. So you're seeing exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play. I'm currently doing Folklore, and actually I just announced that I'll be doing, with Old Man Stompy and Minty Mitts, 999, the DS game ported to the PS4. So that's coming up real soon.
Oh, nice.
And otherwise, hit me up and getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord. Perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm actually looking to do Virtue's Last Reward. I played the original
nice.
a few years ago, so I need to move on and play the rest. But I'm excited to see your take on it there. Okay, well, we'll catch everybody on Thursday for another episode of Corrective. We'll catch you then.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye.